FashionNext is an ongoing fashion design competition featuring established Chicago designers asked to create a piece inspired by a few pieces pulled from the permanent collection of the Chicago History Museum. In conjunction with I Do, Chicago Ties the Knot, finalists will each create a wedding gown inspired by one of 4 pre-selected gowns from the permanent costume collection. The goal of FashionNext is to help the public understand fashion as a process, from concept to cutting room to runway featuring the costume collection. The challenge of the FashionNext competition is for the fashion designers to use materials from Brentano fabrics. Brentano is a fabric design company that produces fabrics for the interior market, so materials that are typically used for covering furniture and for wall hangings. The criteria used to select the finalists for the FashionNext competition are design, inspiration, overall concept, fabric selection, and design story. The piece that Carolyn DeVillo is inspired by is a Givenchy 1967 wedding dress that is made of 2 different pieces. The piece was selected for FashionNext because it is one of the most signature items that Givenchy created in the late 1960s. Kenneth Park and Carla Wang of Guidon, as well as Katrin Schnabel, both chose the Arnold Scaasi wedding dress from 1958 as their inspiration. It is a cocktail-length wedding dress made of silk taffeta. It's a bright orange color, and the reason we selected it for FashionNext is because it is from the very first collection that Arnold Scaasi created in 1958.
My career in fashion began with my education at the University of Illinois in fashion merchandising. I moved to Los Angeles to get involved in the film industry, and I did work in that industry for about 3 years as a stylist and realized there just wasn't as much of an opportunity to design. So I decided to move back to Chicago. I chose Chicago because this is where I'm from. I've always loved the people in Chicago and the architecture. And here, you are one designer of a few instead of one in a million in somewhere like New York. And it's, I think, a little easier to make a name for yourself here. The style of my current collections, and my past collections for that matter, have always been kind of inspired by old Hollywood, a very sophisticated, glamorous feel. My goal is to have every gown look like your grandmother could wear it or your granddaughter could wear it. The piece I chose as my source of inspiration was the Givenchy. It just was most reminiscent of what I do as a designer. Very clean, simple architectural lines with one great fabric. I believe it was a silk gazar. The second reason why I chose this gown was because it has the detachable cape, allowing the bride to change the dress from ceremony to reception. The fabric I chose for my submission was a wool, and I wanted to stay with a natural fiber because I use silks all the time in my current collection. Currently, the FashionNext piece is in the muslin stage. We're working out any of the patterns and kinks before we make it in the actual fabric. And right now we have the underneath dress finished, and one thing we're working on is getting the detachable skirt with the accordion pleat. We're trying to work through that and get it to stand up on its own.
I have been here in Chicago for 20 years. I went to School of the Art Institute to study fashion design, and I made Kenneth when I was in senior year.
Actually, I came to the United States to study fine art. I kind of introduced to fashion design by Carla, and I really loved that.
After he graduated, we opened a shop. Style of Vidon is more contemporary, but still there's elements of timeless tradition. We love to work with beautiful fabrics instead of just focusing on applying like lace or beadings.
We picked Scaasi's dress because we really liked the pickup at back, how it creates the volume and kind of whimsical lightness of the dress. I did a lot of work on the constructing on the structure, and Carla is really good on draping.
The reason we picked gauzy fabric from Brentano is that it has the sheer look to it, and also we picked 3 different colors because we can layer them and then we can achieve another color.
I don't think I can pinpoint a point in time where I wasn't interested in clothing, but my original training went into performing arts. I moved to Chicago 6 years ago on the invitation of the School of the Art Institute, and I've stayed in Chicago ever since. A big part is, of course, the school, but another big part is also that you can be in your own head, that you have space. So a lot of my pieces are not flat front and back, but there's a very dimensional sculptural quality to them, and almost architectural quality. The piece that I ended up choosing was the Arnold Skasi wedding dress. I was really struck by how fun, playful and sophisticated it was in the same moment, and that was very much something that I felt I wanted to do. There's always this moment of what do you wear before, what do you wear at the reception, what do you wear afterwards, how do you dance, and I'm like, I'm gonna make a dress that takes care of all of that. I'm gonna have a look, and I thought about the three-piece men's suit, and I'm like, why don't I make a three-piece wedding dress? Whatever it is you want to do on that day, you should be able to do, and that's what I wanted to achieve with the garment. It was great fun working with the Brentano materials, but it was very much a process of seeing what is there and how the material choices themselves would influence what I design. My design process, both in general and with FashionNext, is very much directly on the body. I always work with a combination of pattern cutting and draping, and the two really inform each other until the piece is just right. It's really nice to be challenged to create a full look that is for a specific situation but not a specific person.
Sommes du passé, mon amour. Toi et moi sommes du passé, sommes du passé, Au revoir, au revoir, au revoir, au revoir, mon amour. Pour toujours,